Alright, I am back with a Marvel's Avengers video. It has been a very long time since I talked about Avengers, since War for Wakanda, and I played it, I liked it, I thought it was very good, and yet the game still is not really something I care about grinding all that much. I got Black Panther to 150, and then after that I was like, alright, well, moving on. And then we got like a new season of Destiny and all that stuff, so there didn't seem to be kind of too much reason to stick around, and yet I'm back with some news today in the form of Crystal Dynamics has just released a new roadmap, which contains content for the rest of 2021. It's a little cyberpunky in the sense that it does not have any actual dates on it. I'm just told that everything listed here is going to be out before 2021, barring any sort of disaster, but it does have a few notable things on it that aren't maybe surprises, and yet this is kind of the first time we've seen them laid out in any capacity. The two major things are the new Wakandan raid that is coming. This was interesting because they told me that they were ditching the Omega level threat terminology to just call this a raid. I don't know if they're ditching it altogether. I think that's still what the super adaptoid thing is called, and yet calling things Omega level threats just, I don't know, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, and I think they want to have the ability to say something like, this is our first dedicated raid. It is a real raid for at least the context of this game. And it's different from the Super Adaptoid mission in the sense that, while we are fighting Claw in Wakanda and his super sound version of him that we fought in the campaign, this is a completely new experience. It is not just like you're replaying the last campaign mission or something on like an extra hard difficulty. The raid will have normal and hard mode options for different gear drops and things like that. This also comes with a level cap increase, which is, may freak some people out, and yet you can infuse at least a lot of your old gear up to the new cap. It's just that you need to be running kind of the new end game content to get gear at the cap that you can then feed into your old gear to bring it up. So it's essentially exactly like Destiny's Infusion, and supposedly they are streamlining some of the currencies in order to make this happen. I don't know like the full list of things that is going to drop max level gear. It might just be the hard mode raid, but that remains to be seen. We didn't get like an actual preview of it like mechanically or anything, but it seems like this is probably going to be out before the next big item on the list, which is SpiderMan. They are finally talking about SpiderMan in the sense that it exists and it is coming out this year, and then they are not talking about any other aspect of it. Believe me, I tried. I have many questions about their version of Spider-Man. The most obvious point of comparison is Insomniac Spider-Man, but that is a very different type of game. I think they've said in the past that this is going to be like their own Spider-Man, quote unquote, and it's not like Insomniac Spider-Man is guest starring in this game. That said, I am very curious to hear their voice actor, because they could still share a voice actor, because Yuri Lowenthal does Peter Parker for not just the game, but like Spider-Man and like the animated series and a few other places. So not going to rule that out as a possibility. If it's not him, I am curious to see who they get for him. And then obviously there's the kind of comparison about how he's going to work with Traversal and the way, you know, Marvel's Avengers needs to set him up as opposed to how he was in Insomniac, where he'll have a much broader array of powers, and that's like a super open world. They did Spider-Man so well, I can't expect, you know, it to be on the same level. Like, I would assume that, you know, his traversal will be kind of like Hawkeye's is now to a certain extent, where, you know, the rope arrow and stuff swinging around on branches and things. This is not, you know, open world skyscraper Spider-Man where you can just hook web to whatever. And I think they're going to have to still kind of operate within the existing systems here. So again, there is nothing that they can really talk about or want to talk about with Spider-Man right now. It is still on PlayStation only. That is confirmed. That has not changed. That is going to be a very controversial thing. It was at the beginning, but now that we kind of have a very smaller core dedicated player base left that is kind of like starving for new content and new characters and things like that, it's going to be a bummer that only PlayStation people get to access Spider-Man. And I think Greg Miller asked a question when we were on this call about, if that has something to do with crossplay and cross save and like why that can't happen when so many other games are getting it, but like how would that work with Spider-Man? In short, they didn't say that Spider-Man was the reason that's not happening. They just said that it is not something they're working on, or it's something that's in the pipeline for the near future here. So it will not be coming to the game anytime soon, Spider-Man or not. I think there's going to be a separate kind of announcement about Spider-Man at some point in the future. I'm guessing I'll get a pre-briefing about it. I would not expect Spider-Man probably until late November, early December, just based on the general kind of, I don't know, the vibe I'm getting and how much stuff they just put out from Wakanda. There's a few other minor things here. They're doing some new events here and there. There's going to be something with Hawkeye on Disney Plus where you get a Hawkeye nameplate from the show or something for some sort of event, and they are going to be doing more MCU skins because those are very, very popular according to Crystal Dynamics. And as we know, skins are more or less the only real form of revenue they have for the game because all these updates are free, besides selling kind of base copies of it. So if they've found something that is, gold in terms of getting people to buy it, they're going to make a whole lot more of that stuff. So we have many, many movies that they can draw from. They didn't give us any specifics, but you can kind of draw your own conclusions based on what they've made and what they haven't made yet. So we'll see how that goes. I think the biggest point of news here is not on the roadmap. And this is something that they kind of told us in person, and then they mentioned it briefly in this kind of blog post they just released, that they are making 2022 content. This was always like kind of hinted at, like, yeah, maybe this will happen, maybe not. But I pressed them and I'm like, what did you guys feel about War for Wakanda? Like, was that a success for you? And they were very emphatic that they loved how War for Wakanda went in terms of player engagement and like, what they designed there. And like, no, they didn't give us any hard numbers or anything, or, they're not going to tell us their revenue from Black Panther skins or something. But whatever has happened in recent months here has apparently given them the green light to not just like fulfill their contractual obligation for Spider-Man, but actually to develop new content past Spider-Man into 2022. I don't think that guarantees a full year of content in 2022, but they did say a few things. In the blog post, they said new heroes and villains and missions. So new heroes past Spider-Man. We can go through the old data mines where, there's references to Captain Marvel and She-Hulk and Winter Soldier and things like that. They said previously that they were doing like story teases, that if a character is mentioned in game, that could be a tease. In Black Panther, we had teases, at least dialogue lines that were about Loki, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch. So it is unknown whether, it's like one more new hero and we're done, or they're going to do a whole year of heroes. And now that they have production ramped up, we'll get 4 heroes, 4 or 5 heroes, something like that in 2022. Again, I'm just trying to be like cautiously reasonable here, but it was kind of a surprise to see 2022 content confirmed, new heroes confirmed, even if we don't know any specifics. And they did say that we will be getting a roadmap for upcoming content past Spider-Man before 2021 is over. So again, I don't think it'll be for the full year, but probably like what we've seen with the past few roadmaps, which are, 3-4 months at a time, something like that. So that's exciting. This was something that was always kind of a long shot, it felt, because of, Avengers, for all it has done well, has not exactly seemed like this, a huge breakout hit. Square Enix notoriously kind of blasted it for underperforming. And the monetization model is very tough because all the new content is free and it only has a cosmetic store to make additional revenue. And yet, here we are. We have made it one full year already. We are getting content through the end of this year. We are getting some measure of content into 2022. I believe the goal, quote unquote, here is for we're building to a Kree invasion storyline. So I think if in a perfect world, if everything goes according to plan, the next huge expansion would probably introduce the Kree as a new alien race. I would imagine this would be a Captain Marvel involved storyline, just because of the history of that character. So Captain Marvel could be the Black Panther of next year, if that's where we're going here. In terms of other characters in the interim, I don't know, could be any of the ones I mentioned, could be different ones. But they seem excited to be working on whatever that new content is, and they are trucking along. They're doing it. I maintain that I always like the content they put out. I enjoy all the new characters. I think they do a great job with those. The biggest problem has been this being a game where I'm kind of comfortable with the farming loops and there's something I actively want to keep doing. And yet, if the game just continues to kind of exist with new content and mission drops every couple of months or so, that's fine. Like, I guess I have enough games to play all the time between all my other live services. So if I can just drop back in and experience stuff and not have to feel like I need to grind something all the time, that's okay too, I guess. It's just, those are the kind of systems of the game that I don't think are still fully fleshed out. They did mention some changes that are coming, like you will be able to grind certain exotic reward things on a per character basis, not a per account basis, and that's kind of how everything is now. And there were just other kind of tidbits that they're working on loot more generally and things like that. And there's they're kind of focused on refining the end game, I think, now, and I think they believe the raid is a very big part of that. We'll see how the raid goes. I don't know how I feel about it, because the Omega level threat was very strange. Like, that was a mission where it's like, okay, any of my good builds can just rocket through that, the first 90% of that pretty easily, and then you got to the Omega level boss, and it's just with these insta wipe mechanics, and like it did not feel like it was on the same level. So I'm hoping to see that a little bit more kind of smoothed over when the raid gets here, but I guess we'll see. So anyways, so we should know, I'm guessing the raid will be here first, and then Spider-Man stuff will be later. So I'm not expecting to hear anything about Spider-Man for, I don't know, 2 months maybe, and then maybe we'll get another briefing. But this was a good amount of information to get through, and I am very excited in particular that at least some measure of content is confirmed for 2022, and I will look forward to that. So anyways, that's all I got for now, and I'm not heading back to play right now anytime soon. I got other stuff going on that's a little more pressing, but once the roadmap kind of spools up and we get events and things like that, that will be something to, what I just realized? I got through this, I wrote a whole article, and I did the call with them. There's no Wasteland Patrol on here. They did not put, so they shelved that. They shelved that for the Omega level threat for the Super Adaptoid, and they're like, okay, we'll do Wasteland Patrol later. That isn't on here, so I guess that got pushed to 2022 because they're not talking about it. Interesting. I have to add something to my article now. But anyways, that's all I got. I will talk to you guys soon, and thanks for watching. Take care.